Hey friends, Bill Storm here with you. And this week we're moving on to chapter 23 in our study series of John Maxwell's book, Leadership Gold. Now, the title of this chapter is You Only Get Answers to the Questions You Ask. So, one of the most overlooked leadership skills isn't charisma, it's not strategy, and it's not even experience. It's the ability to ask the right questions. So in this chapter, John Maxwell delivers a simple but transformative truth, and that's you only get answers to the questions that you ask. Leaders who stop asking questions eventually stop growing. And leaders who ask better questions gain clarity, wisdom, and direction, both for themselves and for those they lead. So let's ask this question. Why do questions matter in leadership? So leadership isn't about having all the right answers. It's not about being the smartest person in the room. It's about knowing which questions to ask and then having the humility to ask them. Questions reveal priorities. Questions expose blind spots, or what I might call speed bumps. Questions invite collaboration. And most importantly, questions position leaders to hear from God. That's right. Be still, right? And know that I am God. Sit and listen and ask the right questions and then wait patiently for the answer to reveal itself. So when leaders rely solely on past success or assumed knowledge, right, growth is going to stall. But when leaders stay curious, they stay teachable and reflective, that's how influence expands. So let's talk about the difference between curious leaders and comfortable leaders. The difference between curious leaders and comfortable leaders. A comfortable leader stops asking, what am I missing? A comfortable leader stops asking, who am I not listening to? And a comfortable leader stops asking, is this still aligned with our mission? A curious leader, however, will ask this, how can we do this better? Right? A curious leader is going to say, what does success look like 5 years from now? And what is God teaching us in this season? The difference isn't intelligence, it's intentionality. So questions that will shape strong leaders. Number one, self-leadership questions. Before leading others, leaders must ask themselves these questions. Am I leading with integrity, right? This is where character is born. Am I leading with integrity? Number two, where do I need to grow? Where do I need to grow personally in my growth journey? And number three, what habits are helping or hurting my leadership? Now, that's a tough one, right? That's a tough one to be self-reflective and stop and say, what am I doing? What are my beliefs, patterns, and habits and actions that are actually hurting my ability to lead other people? So growth really here is what John is saying begins with honest self-examination. And sometimes the truth hurts, right? And if you're not quite sure of how to do that for yourself, believe me, if you ask other people to be brutally honest with you with no blowback, right? They might be able to tell you some of the things that you're unaware of that you do that might be holding you back. So that's always a good exercise as well. Number two, team-centered questions. Healthy leaders ask their teams. Number one, what do you need from me to succeed? You're amazing at what you do, right? You've got a superpower, you've got skills that I don't have, but how can I support you? What do you need from me to help you succeed? Number two, what obstacles can I help remove? Is there something in your way? Is there an obstacle? Is there a speed bump? Is there something within my power that I might be able to remove to help you move the ball down the field? And number three, where do you see opportunities that we're missing? Wow, that's just such a great question because we can only see through the lens that we're looking through. But when you get other people's perspectives, people that are boots on the ground doing the work, they see things that you may not see. So a great leader is going to say, hey, where do you see opportunities that we're missing? So these questions build trust, ownership, and team unity. Now let's talk about faith-centered questions. Biblical leadership requires spiritual discernment. Questions like, What is God calling us to do next? Not what are our plans or what are we trying to accomplish, but what is our purpose? What is our mission? What has God called us to do? And what is He calling us to do next? Another great question. The next question is a big one. Are we trusting God? Or are we just relying on ourselves, on our own strength? This is me, guilty, 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 right? I went through so many years of personal growth and development type courses on personal power, those types of things, that I relied heavily on myself. So in this season of my life, there's a major shift going on where I'm saying, whoa, wait a minute, right? I'm not the main attraction here. God is the main attraction. Am I trusting God? Because there's a limitation to what I can do, but anything is possible with God. So am I trusting God? Number 3, where do we need wisdom, not speed? Where do we need to slow down just for a second and go, wait a minute? What do we need to know? What kind of experience do we need? What kind of wisdom do we need here to make the right decision to move forward? Because you can spend a lot of time go, right? Grinding it out, but you can be grinding it out in the wrong direction to eventually where you wear out and you don't really make the progress that you want. Where if you just stopped a little bit and looked for the right wisdom, that it would make the progress possible. So God often answers leaders who ask before they act. Okay, let's talk about key takeaways from this chapter. Here's 5 of them that I wrote down. Number 1, growth begins with curiosity. My favorite question is, how can this be done? I know all of the ways that it can't be done, but how can it be done? I'm curious, how can it be done? Who's got an idea? Next takeaway. Questions create clarity before decisions create consequences, right? Once you make a decision, good, bad, or indifferent, and it happens, there's going to be a consequence to it. So questions help you create clarity first before you pull that trigger. Next one. Leaders who ask, listen more, and learn faster. A great leader will ask questions until they're exhausted. They'll just keep asking questions. That's how they get smarter. That's how they get stronger. People who are just talking all the time aren't listening and they're not learning anything. They want to feel important and they want to give directive, but they're not really learning anything. A great leader is somebody who asks and listens. Next key takeaway, great questions invite great people into the process. Yes, yes, and yes. There are certain things that I'm very, very good at, and there's certain things that I'm just not, right? So in order for me to build a great team, in order for me to lead a great team, I don't need more people like me. I need more people that have superpowers that are different than mine. And I want to invite great people. I want to build my team of Avengers, if you will, where everyone has a great superpower. And I want them involved in the process because I know that I can accomplish more together. And the last key takeaway I wrote down was God honors leaders who seek wisdom before action. Yes. Now, wisdom sometimes just comes with time, right? Because you've taken all the arrows in the back and you've learned all the things that just don't work and you try to force things yourself. So God honors leaders who seek wisdom before action. All right, let's talk about a few reflection questions that you can ask. I've got 5 of those as well. Reflection question number 1. What questions have you stopped asking because you assumed you already knew the answer? That's a great question, right? If you were the leader of an organization, what questions have you stopped asking because you already think you know the answer to it? Now, the answer that you have might be a good one, but is it the only one? Maybe not, right? Because if we're not growing, right, we're dying. If we're not learning, we're not moving forward. So we have to stop and ask, is there more than one way to skin the cat? Are there different things that might be even better than the right answer? There might be a right answer. Number 2, when was the last time you asked yourself for honest feedback and truly listened? That's the hardest thing to do, isn't it? Right? Look at yourself in the mirror and point out your faults. Nobody wants that, right? Nobody wants to judge themselves. Nobody wants to be judged by other people, but even worse for you to honestly look at yourself in the mirror and look at all of your faults. That's a tough thing to do, but that's what is required. If you intend to grow, you have to be able to look at yourself in the mirror first. Number 3, What questions do you need to ask God in this season of leadership? Oh my goodness, this one speaks so loudly to me. Right? This speaks so loudly to me. The older I get, the more I realize how much I just don't know. Right? I've been through a lot of things, but not nearly enough things where I don't need God. I need God more and more and more every day. And I need to stop and say, hey, God, what is the mission? What are I believe I understand the gifts and talents that you've given me. You've put me in this position of leadership. What do I need to do your will? Like what steps do I need to take? And then I need to stop and I need to be still and I need to listen and I need to wait, right? I need to wait for that answer. Number 4, how could better questions improve trust with your team or organization? Nobody likes to know it all, right? Nobody likes to feel like they aren't important. Everyone on the team wants to contribute. Everybody on the team wants to do a great job. And they have skills, they have talents, they have certain things that God's given them to accomplish their mission, to fulfill their role within the team. So asking them questions about what do you think? What kind of approach would you take? Why do you feel that way? All those things make people feel important. And boy, you sure do learn a lot. And then number 5, what one question, if answered, could change the direction of your leadership or change the direction of the outcome that you're looking for? What's the one thing, right? What's that one thing? That's an interesting question that you should sit and ask your team. Matter of fact, I had a great conversation yesterday with the CEO, and that's what we talked about. What is the one thing? What's the one thing that's going to move the needle that would make all the difference? Because we know what the key objective is. We know what the outcome is that you're looking for. So what's the one thing that is going to make a difference? And the answer was very clear. We need to get in front of more people. We have to have more conversations. We can't be the best kept secret out there in the world. We have to get in front of more people. That's the number one thing. So where does our focus have to go? Where does our attention go? Where does our energy go to get the result we want in 2026? Get in front of more people, right? That's the thing that moves the needle. So let's talk about some action steps here. Action step number 1, create a question habit, right? You have to train this. You have to train yourself to ask questions until it becomes part of who you are. So each week, write down 3 leadership questions before making key decisions. Now, this one is pretty easy for me. At the beginning of the year, we come up with what our 3 key objectives are for the year. So a leadership question, a very simple leadership question, not each week, but actually each day, is the activity that I'm about to do, does that actually support and move me closer to achieving one of those 3 key objectives or not? If the answer is no, then I shouldn't be doing that activity. I've just pulled I've just strayed. I'm off the tracks right now. I'm getting pulled in a direction that doesn't need my attention. If you're a leader, you need to stay focused on those 3 key objectives. So every day, ask yourself before making a key decision, does this decision or does this action step that I'm about to take get me closer to meeting my 3 key objectives for the year? If the answer is no, then it's a no. Okay. Number 2, invite feedback. Ask a trusted person, what am I not seeing? And resist the urge to defend your position. Be open, right? Be an empty cup. What am I not seeing here, gang? So it doesn't have to be just one person. It could be your inner circle. What am I missing here? We're missing the mark, because obviously the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. We're not making any progress here. What am I not seeing? Somebody give me a clue. Enlighten me here. Okay, great question. Number 3, ask before you act. Pause before decisions and ask, is this wise or just urgent? Right? So take a pause for a minute. Seek wise counsel. Great lesson out of the Bible, King Solomon says, right? Seek wise counsel. Pause for a minute. Gather information, gather the best minds around this thing, and act wisely before you jump. Number 4, lead with listening. Replace statements with questions in your meetings. During your meetings, it should be predominantly questions. Let's use the 80-20 rule. 80% questions, 20% speaking. And you're going to see engagement rise. Matter of fact, this is a fun game that you can play. It's basically names times 3. If you're in a meeting, try to engage with each person at least 3 times, right? Call them by name. So if I'm in a meeting with Deborah, I'm going to say, hey, Deborah, what do you think about this? And then I'm going to give her an opportunity to engage in the conversation. Now, I might move on to somebody else. I might say, hey, Amy, and what are your thoughts on this, right? So now I've gone back to Amy. Now, when we come around to the next topic or whatever, I might go back and ask Deborah again. And then I might ask Amy again, right? So the objective here as the leader is to engage with that person at least 3 times. And if you can do that with everybody in the room, my goodness, everybody's engaged. Imagine that. Okay. Number 5, seek God first. Begin planning meetings with prayer and a question. Lord, what do you want us to see? What questions should I ask? What do you want me to do? And what moves us closer to doing your will? Just stopping instead of just going, to pause and pray and think about that just for a second might just make the difference in the outcome. So closing thoughts here. John Maxwell reminds us that leadership doesn't advance through assumptions. It advances through inquiry. It doesn't advance through assumptions. It advances through inquiry. So if you want stronger teams, you want a more clear direction, and you want deeper alignment, it all starts with better questions. Hey, gang, that wraps up chapter 23. We've got 3 more chapters to go within this Leadership Gold series. I can't believe it. 26 weeks in total, half a year that we've been going through this. And I hope it's been so helpful to you. And if it has, please give me some feedback, right? I'm asking, right? Here's my big ask. I would appreciate any feedback that you can get. If you like it, you love it, you want more of it, we'll start talking about what our next study series is going to be. If anybody has any suggestions, something, maybe there's a particular book or a particular leader that you'd love to take a deep dive into what they have to say, I would be very open to that, because I'm going to be looking for a new study series to begin as we kick off 2026. So any feedback you can give me would be great. Other than that, we will see you next week. And thanks so much. God bless.